These explorers were searching for a very old ship rumored to contain an immense treasure. However, they stumbled upon another ship filled with large quantities of drugs. The problem arose when some pirates got wind of this. The story begins by showing a large plane in the sky steadily moving toward its destination. Soon, dark clouds gathered, and a storm began to brew. Everyone on board was terrified. They had no options to escape the storm. Eventually, they were engulfed by the tempest, and control of the plane was completely lost. Due to engine failure, the plane stopped working entirely, forcing it to crash into the water near an island. Whether anyone on board survived is uncertain, but the plane held a massive secret that would soon be revealed. A few days later, on that same island, a couple is introduced, the boyfriend, Jared, and his beautiful girlfriend, Sam. They were deeply in love, but love alone could not sustain them, as it was clear they were very poor and struggling financially. To earn some money, Jared gave scuba diving lessons to tourists, but it was obvious that this alone could never fulfill his dreams of a luxurious life. Yet, one thought constantly occupied Jared's mind. He had long been trying to find the treasure hidden in sunken ships that had gone down years ago, treasures that included gold, diamonds, and other valuables. Despite years of searching, he had yet to find anything significant. One day, while Jared and Sam were on their small boat, a luxurious yacht appeared. It belonged to Jared's wealthy friend, Durek, who offered him a partnership for an exploration, knowing the treasure was in the ocean but unable to explore it alone. Jared agreed that they would split any findings 50-50. Durek initially resisted, but Jared refused to risk his life for nothing. Later, Jared went to the airport to meet an old friend named Ben, a successful lawyer who had recently won a major case for a wealthy client. As a gift, the client arranged a vacation for Ben and gave him a large house and a billion-dollar luxury yacht. Overjoyed, Jared and Sam joined Ben on the yacht to explore the sea, as their own boat was old and unreliable. Jared, being a scuba diving expert, guided everyone as they spent time on the yacht and explored underwater life. Suddenly, Jared's wristwatch fell into the water. A shark appeared, causing Durek to panic and retreat to the boat, while Jared, undeterred, dived in after it with fins and oxygen tanks. Surrounding him were several sharks, but they did not attack. Jared dove deep and quickly retrieved his wristwatch, bringing it back to the surface. He also carried a stone, which he showed to everyone, explaining that it was very old and once used in ancient ships to help maintain boat weight underwater. Jared suggested to Ben that they might also find treasure in the sunken ships, which tempted Ben into agreeing. Slowly, they all began diving in that spot, searching thoroughly. Underwater, they discovered many items, including a sword that appeared centuries old. Upon closer inspection, the handle was made entirely of gold, confirming Jared's theory. Overjoyed, they eagerly continued searching, dreaming of becoming millionaires if the treasure truly existed. Yet, no one knew where fate would lead them. Jared and his team continued exploring, seeking ancient treasures hidden in the ships. Years of searching were finally starting to show results, boosting Jared's hope of finding treasure. During their exploration, they came across a plane submerged underwater, severely crashed as if from an accident. As they approached, they realized it was the same plane that had fallen during the earlier storm. Jared, Ben, and their girlfriends entered it, suspecting it might contain treasure. While Ben moved forward inside, he found several packets. Opening one released a powder, which turned out to be illegal drugs worth millions on the black market. Ben immediately informed Jared and Sam and even brought a packet to the surface, hoping to sell it for profit. Jared, furious, tore it open and threw it into the water. His sole focus remained on finding the ancient treasure, avoiding any illegal items that could endanger their lives. Jared quickly realized the crashed plane belonged to gangsters smuggling drugs. For some reason, the plane had crashed and remained underwater ever since. Understanding the situation, everyone agreed to follow Jared. That night, they returned to the shore to rest in their luxurious homes. Jared explained to Ben how ancient treasures would resurface during massive storms, just as they had discovered the golden sword. A recent storm had likely brought up even more treasures, which they could spot with careful exploration. However, this process required significant investment of time and money to search thoroughly and potentially uncover valuable items they could sell for enormous wealth. Jared had nothing, but Ben had a substantial amount of money. When Ben saw the golden sword, he realized the treasure was real and immediately agreed to invest in Jared's research, with the condition that any findings would be split 50-50. Jared accepted, and Ben provided significant funding, allowing them to purchase a variety of equipment useful for gold hunting. Without delay, they all dove into the depths of the sea, carefully executing their plan. They found several items, though most were not highly valuable. Jared knew patience was crucial in this process. Meanwhile, Ben's girlfriend wandered slightly away from the group and headed toward the crashed plane, where numerous drug packets were stored. As she moved through the plane, her oxygen tank got stuck, and air started leaking, leaving her unable to breathe. She couldn't call for help because everyone else was far away. Ben had no idea his girlfriend was in danger. After some time, Jared and Ben returned to the surface, but Ben noticed she was missing and immediately dove back in to find her. Remarkably, he located her inside the plane, where she had lifted her head to find a pocket of air. Ben asked why she had come there, and she admitted she had gotten lost and feared they wouldn't find her. At that moment, Ben briefly suspected she might have intended to consume the drugs, but she was safe, and they returned to shore. Their research continued, as no one knew what treasure they might uncover next. They carefully studied everything retrieved from the sea floor, which included many small but highly valuable items. Jared confirmed that if these smaller finds were so premium, the actual treasure inside the ships must be enormous. Collecting more information, he realized all these items belonged to ancient pirates, criminals who had violently attacked travelers and looted others. Jared explained to his team that the pirates likely hid much of the treasure, which explained why locating it was challenging. During further exploration, they focused on overlooked areas. Ben and his girlfriend, once briefed, were happy and resumed the next day's dive with metal detectors and specialized gold hunting equipment, hoping to get closer to the treasure. Jared instructed Ben's girlfriend to stay on the surface while the three others dived. Though reluctant, she complied. Wearing their diving suits and carrying oxygen tanks, the trio dove underwater. After careful searching, they found small valuables and a large object, which turned out not to be treasure but a heavy old bomb. Lifting it was difficult. As Jared and Ben tried to bring it up, they noticed another boat approaching. It belonged to Marine officers investigating suspected illegal activity. Realizing that surfacing the bomb might draw legal trouble, they carefully considered their next steps. They decided to stay underwater for a while longer, but their oxygen was running low. In the next moment, they chose to temporarily set the bomb on the seafloor. Unfortunately, Ben's hand got stuck under it, pinning him down and causing him intense pain. Jared helped him lift it, and after enduring the agony for some time, Ben was finally freed. Gradually, they all surfaced, and the Marine officers found nothing suspicious on their boat. Seeing Jared, the officers confirmed he was not involved in anything illegal, knowing he was a professional scuba diver guiding tourists. Narrowly escaping danger, they ended the day's exploration and headed to a nightclub to relax. However, Ben got into a fight with the club owner after drinking, attracting several security guards. Fortunately, Jared managed to take him away safely. Ben, feeling confident, believed they would eventually find the treasure and become billionaires. The next day, their search resumed at the same spot, focusing on the bomb. Unknown to Jared and Ben, two intruders had reached their boat and caused significant damage. Hearing his girlfriend's cries, they rushed to the boat and confronted the intruders, who fled after breaking several items. Jared found one of the men's caps, realizing they worked for Derek, the same man who had initially offered Jared the exploration partnership but had refused to share the treasure. Jared confronted Derek, accusing him of sending men to harass them. Derek denied involvement, claiming some former associates might have acted independently, and mocked Jared, saying he would never find the treasure without advanced equipment he lacked. Understanding the need for better gear, Jared discussed with Ben how to acquire it, though Ben had limited funds left. He suggested selling the drugs from the crashed plane to fund advanced equipment, but Jared firmly refused, unwilling to engage in illegal activity. Ben's girlfriend overheard this conversation, and later, she and Ben plotted to take the drugs themselves and sell them for millions, bypassing Jared's strict rules. Around midnight, they went out to the ocean, diving quickly to retrieve the drug packets from the plane. They planned to sell them through the nightclub owner, hoping for a huge profit. Meanwhile, Jared received a call from the club owner, asking him to come urgently for an important discussion. When Jared arrived at the spot, he immediately noticed that Ben and his girlfriend were already there. The nightclub owner and a dangerous gangster were also present. The gangster stood there, suspicious and aggressive, demanding to know where his entire shipment of drugs was. He had figured out that Ben and his girlfriend were there to sell the drugs and that they likely knew the location of the crashed plane carrying the rest of the shipment. It was clear to Jared that the plane, illegally transporting drugs, belonged to this gangster. The gangster threatened Jared, warning that if he didn't reveal the plane's location, nobody would survive, including their families. Thinking quickly, Jared carefully chose his words. He admitted to finding only a few packages onshore and claimed that with proper funding for advanced equipment, he could locate the plane. The gangster, seeing an opportunity to get the plane's valuable cargo worth billions, agreed to provide Jared with enough money to buy the equipment, but warned that any deception would result in deadly consequences. Fear gripped Jared, but he knew he had to move forward. A single mistake could mean death for everyone involved. In a moment of frustration, Jared even struck Ben for disobeying him, as Ben had attempted something reckless despite the danger. There were no other options. They had to comply with the gangster's terms, but Jared cleverly arranged the equipment needed to continue the treasure hunt. Sam, Jared's girlfriend, refused to participate in anything illegal. This left only Jared, Ben, and his girlfriend actively involved in the operation. Using the money from the nightclub owner, they purchased high-tech gear, including a submarine to navigate the ocean floor more efficiently. Jared prioritized searching for the sunken ship that could hold the treasure instead of retrieving the drugs. With the submarine's supersonic radiation gun, they scanned and cleared the debris from the ocean floor. When they finally descended to the wreckage, they were stunned. There lay the remains of an ancient ship, complete with a massive bell engraved with its name, the very vessel that had sunk centuries ago with treasure aboard. Jared, Ben, and Sam were ecstatic. They were finally within reach of the treasure. However, they still had the gangsters' demands to fulfill. As they moved to collect the drug packages from the crashed plane, disaster struck. A shark attacked Ben's girlfriend because she had strayed from the others and behaved unpredictably in the water. Normally, sharks avoid divers, but abnormal movements and splashing can provoke them. She was severely injured, forcing them to abandon the drugs and save her. Jared and Ben rushed her to the hospital, but tragically, she did not survive. Ben was left devastated and alone, while Jared's girlfriend stayed close to support him. The situation had become critical. Meanwhile, Jared received relentless calls from the nightclub owner, anxious about whether the drug shipment had been recovered. The tension was sky-high, and every decision they made could mean life or death. Jared tried to explain that one of their team members had already been killed in the chaos, but the gangster and his associates didn't care. They only wanted their drugs, no matter the cost. The nightclub owner, furious, came directly at Jared, threatening him. Thinking fast, Jared sent his girlfriend and Ben to a safe location and confronted the club owner himself. He showed the man all the treasure they had recovered from the ocean floor, the golden sword and other priceless artifacts, carefully explaining their value, far exceeding any commission the club owner might receive. Jared attempted to entice the owner into joining the treasure plan, offering a share of the profit as a way to keep the gangsters off their backs. Greed won out, and the owner reluctantly agreed to board the boat. But when he stepped on, there was no one else aboard, only blood-stained decks and chaos. As the owner entered a cabin, a shot rang out. Jared soon realized it was Durek, standing there coldly. Durek revealed he had already discovered the locations of both the drugs and the treasure and had executed the gangster and anyone else who knew. Fear gripped Jared. Durek intended to eliminate him as well. A violent confrontation erupted, but Jared managed to escape by leaping into the water. Rushing back to Ben, Jared frantically asked about his girlfriend. Ben explained she had gone to a police officer to report the situation. Moments later, Jared's phone rang. It was Durek. The officer she had approached was working for Durek, and he had now captured her. Durek threatened that he would not release her until Jared revealed the plane's location. Terrified, Jared had no choice. He agreed to disclose everything, even the location of the treasure beneath the sea. Durek initially thought Jared was bluffing but eventually accepted his words. Jared arranged to meet Durek, carefully bringing his girlfriend along to the location near the drug packages. Durek's men, including the officer secretly working for him, were waiting. He wanted to ensure no one else could discover the treasure's existence. Boarding the boat with all of Durek's men, Jared slowly guided them toward the site of the crashed plane. But beneath the surface, Sam, Jared's girlfriend, had freed herself. Using a pressure pipe, she sabotaged the boat's equipment, disabling much of Durek's high-tech gear. The balance of power had shifted. What began as a mission of survival and treasure hunting had turned into a tense game of wit, courage, and desperation beneath the waves. As one of Durek's men entered the room to check everything, Sam seized the moment. With quick reflexes, she launched a sudden attack, trapping him long enough to make her escape. Outside, another of Durek's men was on guard, ready to stop her. But at the perfect moment, one of Jared's allies appeared, striking down Durek's man and throwing him overboard, clearing the way for Sam to get to safety. Jared, watching from a distance, received the signal. His girlfriend was safe. Now, his only focus was survival. Their boat was hovering over the chaotic scene. Drug packets, torn open, floated and scattered across the water. Seizing the moment, Jared dove into the waves, swimming fast to put distance between himself and Durek. Furious, Durek ordered his men into the water to hunt Jared down, spreading them out in every direction. As they reached the ocean floor, Derek finally realized the truth about the treasure Jared had described. Everything he had said was real. One of Derek's men entered the crashed plane, only to find Ben's body inside. But Ben wasn't dead, he had been faking it. The man, assuming it was the plane's pilot who had perished in the crash, stepped closer. At that moment, Ben and Jared, hidden nearby, struck. In seconds, the intruder was taken down. Another of Derek's men attempted to attack them, but Ben and Jared worked in unison, breaking his oxygen pipe, sending him down to his doom. Ben, though badly injured, had to move quickly. Safety was their priority. Meanwhile, Sam, still aboard the boat, was targeted by another attacker. With quick thinking, she trapped his arm in a door. Blood poured from the wound, and the scent drew a nearby shark. The predator didn't hesitate, it attacked, and the assailant was killed instantly, the ocean taking care of the threat. The situation had escalated into a brutal game of survival, with Jared, Ben, and Sam forced to navigate both human and natural dangers while inching closer to the treasure that lay beneath the waves. Every move required perfect timing, nerves of steel, and a careful blend of courage and cunning. Underwater, Derek tried to strike Jared with an arrow, but Jared was faster and far smarter. Thinking on his feet, he grabbed an oxygen cylinder and smashed its tip. The escaping oxygen shot out like a jet, propelling the cylinder straight into a nearby fuel tank. The resulting explosion obliterated the entire plane in an instant. Jared managed to escape just in time, but Derek wasn't so lucky, he was trapped inside, and the explosion claimed his life. Time later, we see Derek, Ben, his girlfriend, and a companion back in action, diving once more for the treasure. They hoisted a massive cannon from the water, but the rope snapped under tension. The cannon crashed onto a sunken ship, causing debris to scatter across the surface. Then, the shocking discovery: inside the wreck lay the real treasure. Golden bars, jewel-encrusted artifacts, and priceless gems, the very treasure Jared had hunted for years. Ben and Jared couldn't contain their joy. All the years of relentless searching, danger, and near-death experiences had finally paid off. With the treasure secured, they were now billionaires, free to live the luxurious life they had always dreamed of. The treasure was theirs by right, they had explored, risked everything, and earned it. And so, the story closes on a perfect, happy ending. Jared's dream of adventure, wealth, and a lavish lifestyle had finally come true.